Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Beastmasters Club, dedicated to experiencing the world's finest whiskey, one bottle at a time. I'm Steve Zeller.
And I'm Ben Paluba. Here on Beastmasters episode 1, we're just going to be giving you an intro to what we're doing here at Beastmasters and what you can expect on future episodes of this podcast.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Beastmasters Club, experiencing the world's finest whiskey, one bottle at a time.
We're excited to have you all here with us. And Steve, do you want to tell the folks at home what we're going to be doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. Once a month, we're going to have a live podcast whiskey tasting event with an expert from the whiskey world. We are going to pick a very limited release selection, like a private barrel, and everybody who's listening at home is going to be able to go to the website and buy a bottle of it.
Awesome. So, yeah, here at Beastmasters Club, there's really only a few things you need to do to get involved, right? First, go to our website, beastmastersclub.com, sign up, right? Join the Beastmasters Club. Very easy. Just have to enter your email, and then you're in. No real hazing or any other crazy membership requirements. Yeah, we might haze you a little bit, but it'll probably be through email.
Okay, so I go to beastmastersclub.com and I join the group.
Exactly. Join the group. Then also subscribe to the Beastmasters Club podcast, right? So you can do that from our site, beastmastersclub.com, or you can go to any of your favorite podcast outlets, if it's iTunes,
Spotify, Stitcher,
Google
Android.
Play, whatever. Whatever you're using, we will be there. Have no fear. The third thing is to buy a ticket for one of our events. So if you go to the website, you will also be able to see what we're doing and see the schedule of events. Sign up for one of our events. If you're in the New York area, you can come and join us. We have a great spot for our tasting events at a location in the Meatpacking District in Manhattan with our partner, Xavier Wines. They have an awesome tasting room in a downstairs location at their store, and that's where we'll be hosting our events. The last piece of the puzzle is another thing that you can also do on the website, which will be to buy the bottles that we're going to be tasting and featuring at our events and on the podcast. So, like Steve said before, what you'll be able to do is subscribe to the podcast, follow along, order the liquor, drink with us, and experience the best whiskey the world has to offer, one bottle at a time.
All right. Well said.
So all of you at home may be wondering, like, why are you guys doing this? Like, where did the idea for this Beastmasters Club come from? And I'll say that it may possibly have originated from my jealousy when I saw one of my oldest friends, Mr. Steve Zeller, getting his hands on some outrageously delicious and hard to find whiskeys on a very constant and consistent basis. Steve can talk to us a bit about how he got involved in this whole world and managed to get so deeply into the tastiest parts of it. But I think it all started from his blog, Smoky Beast, something that he's been doing with his wife for a while. And maybe you can give us a little bit of the background on that, Steve.
Yeah. Well, Smoky Beast started... my wife and I were down in New Orleans, and a friend was talking about a friend of his who started a cocktail blog, and he said that they were getting all kinds of free liquor and they were getting invited to events. And so we kind of looked at each other and said, well, we could get a lot of free liquor and get invited to events. So we started just writing one review a week. Whiskey sort of our thing, so we started writing one whiskey review per week. And as I tend to do, I started to obsess over the whole thing, and it just kind of got crazier and crazier. We started with stuff you can kind of get off the shelf, and the original purpose was to just kind of taste things and review what you'd find in a liquor store for people, so that to help them out. So if they're going to the store and they're trying to find something, we tell them what to get. Well, I got tired of that kind of quickly, and so we started looking for older stuff and rarer stuff, and it quickly sort of became a bit of madness with reviewing these super hard to find whiskeys and super old, closed mothballed distilleries, and and we started to put together a greatest hits of the whiskeys that we'd tasted.
Right, and so Steve's blog that he writes with his wife Dana is called Smoky Beast, and I think that the name Smoky Beast came from the styles of whiskey that we really like here, and that Beastmasters Club is going to be featuring and exploring. So, we like a beast, and the whole idea of the beast, Steve can explain kind of what a beast is, but we took our name Beastmasters Club from Steve's blog Smoky Beast, so we're continuing to pursue these tradition. Beasts. Yeah, we're continuing to pursue and capture the beasts.
Oh, it's not for the faint of heart, right? We're not looking for a mellow and smooth whiskey that you would, drink with aperitifs or something like that. We like big, full-flavored, badass drams, like the most common being super smoky Islay malts from the Islay region in Scotland, where you get that ashtray, peaty, just slap you in the face kind of quality. Big bourbons that are sweet and rich with vanilla and char and tobacco, and super spicy ryes with mint and hot peppers and all that kind of stuff. And we tend to like them straight out of the barrel, super high proof, cask strength, unfiltered, uncolored, just a real raw sort of base whiskey experience.
Yeah, I mean, we want to bring to everybody, both through the club and through the podcast and through our events, the things that we really enjoy. And I think those are also the things that the people who make this whiskey enjoy, and it's what the distillers drink. It's what the people who are deep in this world appreciate. And I think that as we can expose you to more and more of it, you will understand what we're talking about and why we like to focus on the beasts.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to get into a bit of a podcast that's going to preview what we do at Beastmasters Club. So we're going to get into a tasting. We're going to be tasting 3 different whiskeys today, and it'll give you an idea of what we're going to be doing at our events, what you can expect, kind of the types of whiskey that you can expect to hear about here on the Beastmasters Club, as well as sort of just the flavor of what you're going to be getting on the podcast and what we're going to be talking about as we continue to develop this.
The Beastmasters Club is now in session.
Yeah, so I brought 3 what I think would be stellar examples, sort of the ideal types of bottles that we'd be able to get for the club. And so we actually asked one of the very original Beastmasters, Jeff Roth, to join us today.
Hello.
Jeff has been patiently stroking his impressive beard while we ramble on, waiting to be introduced.
It's quite enjoyable.
Thank you for coming today, especially in this weather. I feel like 4 inches of neck scarf is really paying off for you.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right, so I brought 3 things with me. I brought a private barrel pick of an American whiskey. I brought an independent bottling, which means that there are companies mostly in the UK that buy up barrels of malts and bottle them. And then I brought a limited release bottle. So these are the types of things that I want to feature. And I brought 3 what I think are just stunning examples of these types of whiskeys to share with you guys today. So that being said,
oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I just love
these
it
concealed in my backpack because I didn't want the guys to see them. So.
I love it when Steve comes into my house with any kind of bag or satchel, because I know that there's some sweet, tasty brown hidden inside.
All right, so the first one, of course, the Smoky Beast Rye. So early in the club, I decided to go out and buy my first barrel of whiskey. I called up Jeff and said, dude, we're driving and we're going to go get a bunch of whiskey. Are you in?
Yeah.
Jeff promptly called in sick to work and brought a whiskey mix on the iPad and hopped in the car with me and drove to an undisclosed location where we procured many cases of this stuff. So this is a Smooth Ambler cask strength rye. It's 128.2 proof, 8-year-old. And it's an interesting story with this one because, normally in a barrel of whiskey, a full barrel, a 53-gallon barrel is something like 240 bottles. and you expect to lose the Angel's share. A little bit evaporates each year. So for an 8-year whiskey, you'd probably expect to get maybe 150 bottles or 130 bottles or something. So John Little, the one of the founders of Smooth Ambler, had me taste a few different casks. I immediately thought this one was just such a head and shoulders above the others that I picked it without even blinking. I
remember when you got the samples and we tried them around. It was such an obvious no-brainer. There was one just clear standout.
I mean, it's just 3 shades darker than anything else. You just take a sniff of it, and it's just so rich and unbelievable. Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud, guys.
Then I waited a really long time. I waited probably 8 more months after we chose it or something like that before we could go pick it up.
That is so good.
Yeah, it's just.
It is big. It's a strong.
Oh yeah,
but in such a good way.
It's so smooth. It's got so much flavor, and it's so smooth for the heat.
Yeah.
You would never guess near 130?
Yeah.
Near 130 proof, and it is just sublimely smooth. Like, it doesn't have a hint of a bite. Like, I haven't had anything to drink today, and I just took a sip, and it goes down like butter. There is no heat, no bite. I mean, obviously you have the alcohol there.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Oh no, it's not a first timer. It's not a rookie.
This is not a rookie.
Not freshman orientation.
But
sure, we drink cask strength stuff all the time. The 3 of us, and we're used to it. But really, it's uncannily smooth.
Yeah,
for the amount
for sure.
Of booze. That's
it has that sort of roundness, that sort of like smooth raciness to the actual texture of it. That's amazing with this high proof.
I mean, I'd probably never put this first in a tasting. We're doing this in my kind of chronological order because I know you guys have, whatever, you roll with the punches here. But let me just explain the private barrel thing. So when you buy a barrel, everybody asks me this. They're like, well, "What did you do with it?" Like, and they picture like I have a barrel in my basement with a tap in it, and I just keep drinking it every morning.
We did have a barrel,
right? But so you have to buy, you have to sell alcohol in the States by the milliliter. So they bottle it for you, and you get cases with your, sometimes with your own little label on there. You get cases of so you pick the barrel, and then they bottle it for you, and then you get the cases, and you get the empty barrel. But this one, then we waited the 8 months, and then it turned out there was only 56 bottles that came out of this barrel, which is like ridiculously low. A third of what you'd, if I did the 150 you'd expect.
Right.
Which means that probably 75% is gone from what was originally in the barrel. So I interviewed John Little about this, and I was like, why is it so dark and crazy rich? Why were there only 56 bottles in it? And he didn't know, but his best guess was that this whiskey was distilled in Indiana. Then it was aged in Kentucky. So it was transported down to Kentucky in the barrels, aged down there, and then brought to West Virginia to be bottled at Smooth Ambler. So his guess was that it cracked and it started to leak. And then either somebody coopered it up and repaired the barrel along the way, or it just it got so sticky that it kind of sealed itself up, which happens sometimes. And then it just basically had so little whiskey in it that it was being bumped around and transported so much that it just soaked up a ton of that wood and a ton of the sugar from the charred oak and all that stuff. And that's how we got this crazy, rich, delicious rye.
Whatever they did, they hit the nail on the fucking
but that's
head.
that's I mean, that's the fun thing about bottles of spirits and bottles of anything like this, is that it's all organic, and you'll get these special, rare, random. I mean, I've heard of things like that happening with some sort of one side of the rick house. I mean, it's supposed to all be even and age at the same time, but some weird thing happened that year or that barrel that so makes it special.
So at the end of this podcast today, we're going to announce the first Beastmasters Club event, tasting and bottle. And based on the inspiration from this, it's going to be a private barrel pick of an American whiskey. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So stay tuned through the podcast for the details at the end. We don't want to dwell too much on it now, but all right. I mean, it's always a treat to crack open some Smoky Beast rye.
Oh, it is. I gotta show you guys
one of the best ryes, especially for its age, that I've ever put into my mug. I mean, I was really impressed with it from the get-go. But as the kind of years roll by on this, it just it's like more and more of a pleasure to return to it each time and just have a little dram and
It's so hard to find
think back.
rye, even aged rye these days too.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I think Smooth Ambler's standard release rye is done at this point. Maybe I want to pick some of that up if it's still on the shelf.
Yeah, get your hands on whatever rye is
That
left
7-year,
scrambling around
7-year
out there.
Smooth Ambler rye.
You go to any of your little honey holes and dig it out because it's not going to be around forever, right?
Ben, what do you kind of get off this guy?
It has a really nice kind of fruity nose to it. It has like a sort of a plum raisin, sweet fruitiness in the nose. That's really
for sure.
delicious. So you get that kind of like macerated, cooked fruit.
Yeah, like a prune. Like it's not like overly sweet, but it has that nice sort of like or a date.
Absolutely.
Definitely mint. There's a lot of mint in there. Mm-hmm. And I get some kind of like brown butter, almost like a roux, kind of like a rich, buttery, charred, leathery kind of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like a slightly toasty fruit pastry kind of like cook up, like a crumble, like a prune crumble,
like a prune. Yeah. But there's all kinds of just richness in there. It's just so rich. You just, it just kind of pulls you into those layers of sweet and rich and spice and baking spices.
Yeah, there's a lot of that nutmeg, cinnamon clove running through here. It's really like as if you walked into your grandmother's house while she's baking up
big
pies
prune pie.
Was
that your grandma, especially the prune pie?
That was her nickname when she was younger.
Oh, prune pie.
Yeah, good old prune pie. Cool.
All right. Well, so I'm going to save the reveal for the end of the episode, but this, I think, is to toot our own horn for having chosen it, a phenomenal example of a private barrel of American whiskey. And we're going to feature another private barrel that we're going to do for our first episode. So get excited about that. So we're going to try a signatory vintage Lafroig. It's a 16-year. And this is a private cask done for the Whiskey Exchange, which is a store, probably the best whiskey store in the world if you just want to go online and spend outrageous amounts of money on old whiskey. But this is a sherry cask. Look at the color on that guy. And these signatory vintage cask strength decanter bottles are gorgeous. They're these sort of like squat, almost looks like a decanter, right?
They
it's
are
like
truly beautiful.
bottle.
They nailed bottle design, the
Totally.
signatory folks. It's like you look at that and you're just like, whatever is in there must be the elixir of the gods.
Yeah. And I guess I can spill the beans. Our second episode is going to feature signatory vintage, so that's very exciting.
Oh, very
too.
nice.
Yeah,
we're really excited about that.
yeah. I've been a fan of signatory for a long time. It just like there's certain. This is what I like about independent bottlers. It's kind of like that, like the staff picks shelf at Blockbuster. It's like if you find somebody you like, they're going to pick great shit. And it's like everything they put out basically has like that same level of taste and
I just go to
Brilliant
Ted's shelf and it's always awesome.
totally dating myself with the Blockbuster reference. So this is a sherry. It's a Lafroig 16-year that was 100% sherry cask.
Thank you.
And the great thing about a lot of these independent bottlings is their cask strength. The Lafroig, like Lafroig 10-year, always has to be the same proof. It always has to be the same age. So every year they're shooting for consistency. Whereas these indie bottlings, they just buy a bunch of casks and release the perfect age whenever they think it's ready, and they put it in whatever type of barrel they want.
It's the ideal situation because what they're looking for is something amazing, rather than
Consistent.
rather than producing a product
Exactly.
year in year out that is exactly the same. And it's like if you're looking for kind of the biggest, finest, best expressions of what this distilling art has to offer, it's stuff like this that you really want to get into your mouth, because honestly, like, these guys are looking to find examples almost. Like, that's why they're buying these casks. That's why they're putting them away.
Yeah.
They're out there looking to, like, find the coolest, most unique, interesting expressions, obviously at very high quality.
Ben, I don't want to interrupt, but cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Sometimes I need to shut up.
Signatory vintage Lafroig. handpicked for the Whiskey Exchange. What do you think of that?
Nice.
That's really deliciously
amazing.
smooth.
Yeah. Well, again,
But-
not a rookie bottle. It's a 120 proof.
Yeah.
50. What is it? 59.9%. Just under 120 proof.
It's also ridiculously smooth, and full of flavor, but like a nice, like more subtle flavoring. Obviously, like less bold than the rye, but it has a big smoke peat, upfront bang. Like when you smell it, it's like a million ashtrays. You know,
You get that sort of like warm chest afterwards, which I didn't really. I don't get that with the rye, but this I don't know why that would be.
Smoke drifting up your
my
back
nostrils,
of your throat,
exactly.
your nostrils, yeah. So there were only 585 bottles of this. This is like, for me, I mean, Lafroig, bottled by Signatory for the Whiskey Exchange. It's like the planets aligning. Like, I don't even know what to compare that to. It'd be like, like Led Zeppelin brought to you by EDI Records, played on a tube amp through some clipped speakers or something like that. It's just like the ultimate pairing of good stuff.
You just nerded out in two different directions in a way that I think may cause a wormhole here in the fucking room that we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of my favorite distilleries, definitely my favorite bottler, one of the best stores in the world. Like, boom, 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 unbelievable.
And we should note, like, that's what this is about. This is the Beast Masters. These are beasts. This is
bold,
not the
bad
weak
boys.
masters.
Yeah,
These are some serious beast distillates that need to be tamed by people with the right attitude and mindset to approach these beasts with caution, respect, and admiration.
Right, a short leash and a big mitt. I mean, people keep telling me that as my tastes mature, that I'm going to lose my appreciation for huge peat and big stuff, and I'm going to be more into this. Like, I'm going to be a Macallan guy when I'm like 70.
Horse shit. Like I say horse shit.
So that to me, it's like I'm going horse shit, and I'm going to fight against that. No. But just in case, I'm going to drink all the shit now.
Well, Ben comes home at night and secretly drinks Glenlivet. So
right,
yeah,
right.
that's my real thing.
That's his thing.
That's what I'm super into.
But generally, my feeling is like if you ask somebody what's your favorite malt, and they say like Macallan, it's kind of like who's your favorite band, and they're like, oh, Sting.
Yeah, Chicago.
Right. It's kind of like, okay, that's cool, man. You're a cool dude, but I'm gonna go talk to this hot chick over here.
It's probably true. I think that's an apt comparison. Like, who's your favorite band? U2.
Right.
Like, they're good. Like, no one's debating that.
Boston.
Boston.
Right.
Yeah.
Boston,
Classic.
Chicago.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Right. Yeah, nice horn section. Like, A for effort. But come on.
So yeah, this for me, I mean, just
this is just delicious.
Waves of peat, big smoke, campfire rocks, like salty sea air going on. And then I think it's kind of like some of that like roasted nuts, like when you those vendors on the street, you get some of the kind of like that like roasted nut kind of sweetness, that sweet honeyed nuts kind of thing.
Yeah, like a roasting chestnut action.
Yeah. And then the fruits, right? We get the berries and the sherry, and that's the kind of like at the end of the nose, you get that big plummy kind of sherry stuff. What do you guys think?
I think that's dead on.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's interesting when you first drink it, you get that sort of those sweet notes on the front of your tongue, and then it sort of as it goes to the back, you get the sort of like the smoke and the sort of like
just thinking of that.
Yeah,
it's like the taste separates.
Yeah,
and
it
the
does.
Finish,
It completely, that's what I'm saying.
The top of your tongue is all honey and cherries and fruit, and then the smoke is crawling up through the back of your throat.
Really interesting.
Yeah, it like polarizes the taste. Really interesting. I love this one. I'm so sad that there's only a drop left, which we should promptly finish. So we did a private barrel American whiskey. We did a independent malt private barrel. And so for the last one, I wanted to do just a cool limited release bottle, which is the kind of thing that, honestly, I don't know that we'll be able to get enough bottles to have everybody in the club buy a limited release bottle, but for the tasting, and maybe we could figure out samples, or we'll figure out a way to do it. But I just felt like a cool, like super limited release bottle would be the way to cap off, particularly our sort of inaugural podcast. And
Let's do this.
I got a
Bring
doozy.
it on. Bring it on.
A doozy. I love that. When Steve's like, it's a doozy, you just better hold on to your fucking seat.
So I know you guys have been wanting to try this guy.
Oh, shit!
For those of you in Radio Land, this is the Lagavulin Fess Eel 2015. As we cork and taste this guy, I'll just explain what this is. So Isla is obviously our favorite place where all of this delicious smoky malt come from. And every year Isla has a spring festival called Fess Eel or Isla Festival. And so it's like every distillery puts out a special Fess Eel release. And these bottles are only available on Isla at the distillery one day of the year. And in last year, in 2015, Lagavulin put out this super, now legendary, 24-year release, distilled in 1991, bottled in 2015, handpicked by Ian MacArthur, who's the legendary distillery rickhouse manager. So, yeah.
We're tapping into a super, super special... difficult to obtain.
I'm very excited.
Unicorn, if there ever was one.
So here,
for sure. And they come in these awesome like burlap sacks that's almost impossible to get them out of. And
it's cool the way they package up the Fess Eel bottles because they just throw them in the sack, and I actually think that they're reasonably priced if you attend Fess Eel on Isla.
Yeah. This would have been 120 pounds or something.
But it's so cool that they do this, and I love that all these distilleries do their yearly special edition, and they put them all out together, and you can go and get them. It's like a fun thing, and I feel like
cool.
this matches totally with our whole ethic of Beastmasters Club, where it's like let's find something incredibly well made, where the artistry is at in a really high level. And the
get
craft,
your friends together. And
the craft is on full display at its finest.
Totally.
And it's all dedicated to having a great time.
Absolutely. Well, cheers.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Lagavulin 24-year.
Tally ho. Wow. I just got to say, wow.
I made these guys. We pressed pause and took a little palate cleanser and had a little snack and drank because I didn't want to go straight from one to this because it's just so different.
Wow.
For the proof of this, it is
The
buttery
smoothest thing
smooth.
you've ever tasted.
This
right?
24-year Lagavulin.
What is the
Same proof as the
ABV?
last one? 59.9%.
Wow.
Almost 120 proof, but it's just
that
all elegance.
that is amazing.
And it's not a super smoke bomb like a lot of Lagavulin. It's got the smoke and the peat, but it's subtle, and it's just like a really nice, smooth, flavorful,
beautiful color.
I guess we can let it slip that I think both these gentlemen bought one of these bottles and has not opened it yet.
I have
which
one
is
sitting
why
on the bar.
Yeah, very exciting.
Why I thought this would be particularly
Appreciated.
momentous.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Lagavulin is probably my first whiskey love.
Mine too.
Right? It's like it's the thing that made me appreciate and enjoy Scotch whiskey, especially. And I had never really understood malts until I first tasted Lagavulin. And for whatever reason, I hadn't had a lot of exposure, but the first time that I did have some Lagavulin, just a Lagavulin 16, it opened my eyes, and I was like, wow, what's hiding here in
Was
the
that at
world
Doug's
of malts?
Burns night? Was that was when I first had it? You too?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this was a very important day. So Doug, we'll have to have Doug at a future
we will.
podcast.
We'll get him in.
But
He's a
Doug is
member
one of the
of the-
original Beastmasters, and he did up in his house in Aurora, Massachusetts. He did an annual Robbie Burns night, and I mean this was a seminal moment for me in my life in whiskey, and I think Dana and I it was part of we were falling in love. We were dating at the time. We'd both never had it before. Neither of us had had it before, and it was a real moment, I think, for a lot of us. So cheers to Doug.
Yeah, he's a man of many fine tastes. Like I'm struggling to even come up with an awesome comparison for this. I'm just like because I'm so overwhelmed by just the fineness of this taste.
Yes.
In that it's subtle, but it has all of the big balmy flavors in there that you're usually expecting from an Islay malt.
But they're refined.
So they're in there, but they're just so kind of nicely smoothed over and refined, and like it's like the distillers were planing down a piece of wood with like an ultra thin shaving
Great
plane,
What,
and just getting that grade exactly perfect.
I mean, for something of this proof, you would never in a million years guess it's 120 proof.
No, if you serve
No.
this to somebody
Not
side by
not in
side,
not in a million years.
No. And yeah, the smoke has just become this kind of element of it.
Yep.
It's gone. It's all the burn is gone. It's just like perfume and little wisps of smoke and soft little fruits.
Perfume has a lot of like, a lot of headiness in terms of the perfume.
you also definitely catch the sea salt, sea air quality in this. And
Very soft. Everything's very soft.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, to get inelegant, I would just drink this shit all day. I mean, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
well, cheers, boys. What a beautiful way to end our first podcast.
Yeah, we're off to an amazing start. And Steve, thank you for sharing such an incredible
Amazing.
Cheers.
malt
This is
with us.
this is, to use a technical term, redonkulous.
It is.
Yeah.
Totally.
Redonkadonk.
That's what I love. I mean, I love whiskey and I love finding people that are appreciative of it. I think that's what it's all about.
This is so good, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Right.
Yeah, you would never think it was that high proof.
Never. And I wouldn't know what this was, honestly, if somebody poured this for me. I just would want more of it. But I wouldn't be able to tell
It'd
you.
be tough to put your finger on where
Yeah.
it came from exactly.
Do you think you
I
could-
mean, you would immediately say Islay,
Probably, yeah.
and then you would say, I don't know.
But I think that may just be due to the age.
Yes, it is.
I think the smoke just settled with age.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, wow, what a treat.
Yeah. I mean, any Lagavulin, when you're up over the 20-year mark, you're looking at some special treats.
I think I've only had one other Lagavulin over. I had the 21, which is outrageous, but totally different. Like, that's a big smoky bomb, delicious flavor monster kind of thing. This is, and I remember when I popped this open, I was caught off guard because I was expecting a huge flavor. I tasted it and I went, oh, okay. This is not that at all, but it was just even just from the first sip. There's definitely a little berry, a little soft kind of berry thing going on. And there's a little bit of color to it. Well, cheers. So just to wrap this up, we're going to announce our first official tasting. So once again, go to beastmastersclub.com, sign up for the club. You will get invited to our tastings. You will get information about how to buy the bottles, and you will get notified when the podcasts are published. And very happy to announce the big announcement. Drum roll, please. Our first episode. We're getting one of the first single private barrel picks from Barrel Bourbon. Have you guys had Barrel Bourbon?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
Really good stuff. They're a very cool company. They're not a distiller. They're a non-distiller producer. So they go out and source casks from all around the country, and they release these batches of both bourbon and American whiskey. I love the bourbon. Batch
So do I.
8 is out right now, and it's awesome, just super good. And now they've started a private barrel program. And we're going to get one of the first barrels. So it's going to be a 9-year Tennessee bourbon. We tasted through a bunch. This one is really awesome, very full flavored, right up our alley. And we're going to have Joe Beatrice and Will Stragus from Barrel Bourbon come and educate us on their national hunt for all these casks and taste us through some of their products. And
Will it be cask strength, Steve?
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes,
nice.
100 a big bad boy too, up
Good.
in the 120s.
Good. I
Yeah.
just making sure that you're staying on
Straight
stream here.
from the barrel,
Yeah,
unfiltered.
It's got
you
some
know.
serious heat to it for sure. But
Yeah. And we did,
really tasty.
very, very obvious winner in the barrel selection, which is a good sign. We had multiple people taste it, and the group is going to get to go through our tasting process. So they're going to taste some of the different. They're going to taste the batch. They're going to taste some of the different varieties that we tasted. What I love about single barrels is that you can taste a batch, and then you can sort of taste the individual sort of flavor profile notes that went into the batch. And so we kind of went for the super kind of rich, mint vanilla kind of
deep, nice chocolatiness
yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
We were looking at it to pick a beast.
right. So tune in. So please come if you're in the area. Sign up for our tasting. Again, we can only do about 22 seats, so sign up early at beastmastersclub.com. Come to the tasting. You will get guaranteed a bottle. You can also pre-order a bottle on the site, fulfilled through Jim and the guys at Xavier Wine Company. And couldn't be more excited for our first event.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We'll see you there.
We're looking forward
Cheers,
to it.
guys.
Cheers, everyone. Okay, well, thank you for joining us for episode 1 of Beastmasters Club. It's been great to have you with us, and we're very glad to have you along for the ride. We've got 2 events coming up in the fall, one at the end of September and one at the end of October. Steve, do you want to tell the folks what we've got in store for them?
Yeah, should we spill the beans?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Friday, September 30th is going to be our first event. And it is with Barrel Bourbon. Barrel Craft Spirits is a company. They go out and source private barrel picks all around the country. We've selected a single private cask of Tennessee bourbon with them. You've tasted it.
Yeah, and we're gonna basically take the folks at the event and you at home via the podcast through our private barrel selection process.
Yeah. It's going to be super cool. Will Shreyas and Joe Beatrice are the 2 guys from Barrel that we're going to have at the event. We're going to taste through some of their typical products. We're going to taste through the barrels that we tasted, and we thought there was just a clear winner in our barrel. And you're going to get to pick up a bottle of our Barrel Bourbon private pick. So that's super exciting.
Right, so after we have the tasting, you can go to beastmastersclub.com and you'll be able to actually purchase this whiskey through our partner Xavier Wines. All that'll be explained on the site.
Yeah, so join the club, beastmastersclub.com. Then the last Thursday in October, October 27th, we're going to have our second episode, and it's going to feature a very limited release from Kilchoman. I'm very excited about this. Kilchoman is the first new Islay distillery in something like 115 years. We're going to have Josh Hatton, who's a really interesting guy and one of the representatives of Impex, the company that imports Kilchoman here in New York. Josh has a really cool story to tell as well, so it's going to be awesome talking to him. And we have procured a very small amount of this limited release that Kilchoman has put out for their United States tour. And it's a cask strength version of their Makir Bay malt. And I thought it was just superb.
Stellar. So yeah, we've managed to get our hands on a small amount of this, which we will be able to make available to club members. So in advance, go sign up. We'll let you know when it's available, and you'll be able to purchase this through our site as well.
Yep, that one's going to go. We weren't able to get very much. Yeah. They only made, I think a couple of barrels worth for the whole world. So that one's going to go quick. So that's our first 2 episodes. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, stand by. Get excited. We are.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you in September. Join the club.
Bye-bye.